afternoon. My name is Michael Afrimed, and I am a reporter at the Fatu Network. Today, we have a very important discussion lineup about the dangers of Kush, a drug that has been affecting many individuals and communities in the Gambia. It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Manneh, a trained nurse who specializes in accidents, stroke, emergency, and critical care. And he is the head of Department Major of Trauma Intensive Care Service Ambulance at the Afrimed International Hospital. Ms. Manneh has an extensive experience in his field, and we are grateful to have you here and share your insights on this grateful and critical issue. Thank you and welcome to be here today.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to be here. I hope we will have a very fruitful discussion. Like you said, yes, my name is Ms. Manneh. I am the head of Department for Emergency and Critical Care and Ambulance Services at Afrimed International Hospital. I've been in the emergency department for over a decade now, so I have a vast experience on emergencies and critical care.
Can you briefly explain with Kush, what is Kush and how it differs from other drugs?
Well, first of all, the knowledge on Kush is very limited for now. Much has not been known with regards to this particular drug. But one thing is certain is that it is a combination of certain drugs, which include cannabis and of course fentanyl and tramadol, and by far, to a certain degree, this is not very substantial, but there are other rumors that certain part of human remains are being added on this particular substance, which make it a very, very dangerous substance.
So let's look at how was your experience in accidents, stroke, emergency, and critical care shape your understanding substance abuse issues, particularly about this Kush.
Now, substance abuse is a very common issue in the Gambia now, and emergency departments all over the country are faced with these cases on a daily basis, most especially weekends. Weekends are the days or times in which a good number of individuals are recorded who are involved in substance abuse. Now, in particular, Kush is new to the Gambian people, and we have received a significant number of people who have abused this particular substance, leading to certain life-threatening conditions, and of course to certain levels some has even lost their lives. So it is a very, very dangerous substance that is in circulation within the country.
So based on your expertise, what are the most common health issues you ever encounter in patients with ever use Kush? So
there are numerous health issues that comes with the use of this particular substance. But one thing that surpass all is they could run into what is called anaphylactic shock. What happens is their mucosal lining, that is their mouth, the tongue, and some part of the entry, their windpipes are being swollen. They are making breathing very difficult for them, and eventually might lead to loss of life. So others also could have what is called tachycardia, very fast heartbeat. People respond towards substances could differ rather, but the few common things are the anaphylactic shocks that they could have, tachycardias. They could also have this muscle rigidity when they comes in, their whole body become rigid and stiff, and subsequently leading to some organ failures or damages, which could be very detrimental.
So let's look at the beginning of it. When someone is taking Kush, how would how these drugs started affecting them?
Well, like I said, a lot is not known about these particular drugs. Some take it as a form of curiosity. Some take it as a form of peer pressure. And on that note, when they take it, most of the time, you will have some disorientation. It might start with some disorientation. You will not be conscious of time and environment that you are in, and then leading to so many activities or actions that are very irregular. You can be saying things that are not normal. You can be seeing things that are not real, and like I said, episodically, it will subsequently move to a certain degree of life-threatening symptoms, which I have mentioned earlier, ranging from anaphylactic shocks, where you will have a swelling of your mucosal lining, your mouth, the tongue, and eventually the windpipe. Some will tell you that my tongue will fall back, which in some cases is not the fact, okay? But because they have the mentality and it is happening inside their head, they will come holding their tongue, telling you that my tongue is falling back.
So, Manneh, let's look at, because I know a lot of people, they have been saying, they will say like something like this. We are in a case, for example, okay, you just started taking this thing, but at the end of the day, it will not like leading you for you to experience all those signs you have just mentioned. So what about like the people that they just started taking it?
So like I said, people's reactions towards substances could differ. Now when Mr. X takes something and Mr. Y takes the same thing, the way they react to it could differ.
Okay.
But one thing I will say is that when it comes to the usage, you might have the effect now or the symptoms now or later. And even if all the things that I have said here, you have not experienced them, that doesn't change the fact that still you are at risk of developing certain health or mental illness along the line as far as time goes on.
So let's look at how do this effect really affecting especially the young generation.
So tremendously, this has affected a good number of our youths. Okay, you will realize that most of them is either a form of curiosity, or will I say they are trying to explore the famous or the so-called famous Kush and to find out how is it like when you use it. So on that note, it has affected the life of many young people, ranging from their well-being, their health status, emotionally, psychologically. So many factors are affected, which has in turn put so many pressure on families and society at large. So it has affected their schooling, it has affected the way they relate with people in the community, it has affected their self-worth, and it has also affected how they see themselves in relation to having orientation to some of the taxes that are put before them. So it affects a lot of activities as far as their life is concerned.
So what are the immediate steps taken when patients comes into the emergency department with this kind of complication from Kush users?
So usually we do what is called symptomatic management. That is depending on the presentation. If somebody comes and is having a difficulty in breathing, or somebody comes who is having some low blood pressure, or somebody comes who is having a fast heart rate, so we focus our management on this. One, we try to provide them with oxygen. Sometimes, in some cases, if some of them become very, very restless, sometimes some of them become,
so they will hardly become restless if this has been part of you, right?
Yes, they become very, very restless, aggressive. Whatever they hold, they will break it. And then in that case also, we try to calm them down with certain agents in order to relax them. But one thing that is certain is most of the time we are worried about their airway. So we try to control the airway, make it patent as much as possible, and also initiate oxygen therapy, send blood samples for Fubocam with the friends, initiate certain IV fluids, specifically normal saline. These are that are used in order to make them first-line treatment.
So let's look at, in this case, what are the long-term related emergencies?
So like I said, the long-term effects that might comes in is, one, the individual might develop a psychiatric syndrome or psychosis along the line. Continuous use of these substances could also eventually leads to what is called depressions, and then you can also have aggressiveness. These are things that might come later as you use them. And we all understand when it comes to depression, it can cause a lot of things, ranging from self-mutilation, they can harm themselves or they can harm people. It can even cause suicidal attempts in these people, because what they do is they have what is called low self-esteem in them. They also feel that at some point the society don't value them, or people don't have a way for them, and eventually leading to numerous events that could affect their life. So in essence, we will say long-term problems that these users might have is psychosis or certain organ damage, including their liver and kidney and their lungs. Okay. So you might end up having lung failure or lung damages. You can end up having kidney failures. You can end up having liver failures. These are all long-term effects that they might have.
Okay, so let's look at in another area, because we can hear a lot of things about how people they look at things and how they perceive it. For example, you can hear somebody says, for me, I can take this, at the end of the day, nothing happens to me. So in that kind of situation, how will you relate to this kind of issue when it comes up?
One thing is certain is, as far as you're using Kush,
yeah,
there is no way you can escape the dangers.
Okay.
Yes, you might take it today and you don't have an immediate symptoms, but that doesn't change the fact that it will cause a problem. Remember, they smoke this. Okay. Now, even if you look at the common cigarette that we smoke,
yeah,
you take it now, it doesn't knock you down or it doesn't cause you any problem. But along the line, as you're taking it, you will end up coming to the hospital regularly because you will have what is called chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases.
Okay.
Okay. These are cases in which your lungs become weak. Okay. They wouldn't be able to accommodate enough oxygen that you need for certain activities within your body. So the users of this substance, one thing they need to understand is, even if you don't have a problem now,
okay,
it doesn't change the fact that you will not have a problem.
Okay.
You will eventually have problems along the line,
okay,
as long as you're using these substances.
So how does Kush user complicate the treatment intensive care units?
So one thing that happened is, number one, they put a lot of pressure and stress on the caregivers.
Okay.
Ranging from managing them, and of course the pressure that they put on us, number one, is the fact that, one, we don't know much as far as Kush is concerned.
Okay.
Number two, if they consume these substances, we don't know to what quantity they have it in their blood. Now, as a society or as a country, we don't have a facility yet to quantify the number of these substances in their blood. So that makes the treatment very challenging and very difficult. So we can only deal with what the patient is presenting to us. If you check and you are able to quantify and know exactly the quantity of this substance in their system, it's easy to handle, it's easy to tackle it, wherein the doctors will, prescribe what is necessary or outline the treatment plan per the situation that is at hand. But the major pressure is that we don't know actually what we are dealing with.
So let's look at another thing here is, again, okay, let's say you started taking Kush for maybe a 1 month, a period of 1 month, then at the end of the day you say, I will stop. So what will be in your own case? What is, for example, your hope of life?
Well, it's easier because we will all understand that Kush is generally an ego or likeness, a life that people choose, and it's obvious that you can stay out of it. But now, yes, you can have what is called withdrawal syndrome. Okay. That is, you've been taking this particular substance for certain times and you just want to abruptly stop it. Okay. And if you do, you still have the zeal, the feeling, the energy that you want to use it, specifically if it is not giving you all those troubles and major symptoms and complications, and you felt that at certain point when you take this substance, it takes you out of this world for a particular period. So you realize that now you have to leave all that, to start a new life. One thing I would say is that they need to understand that there is still time. They have a choice to leave it, and they have a life ahead, and there is a second choice, and which means they can live a better life after this. So it is not bad for them after a month or so to say, I want to stop using it. It might be very difficult, but consult most of the facilities, ask for medical advices. Talk to people who have a knowledge on health, and they will advise you as to what to do in order to cope along that particular moment of stress and withdrawal syndrome. So
how would you handle this kind of situation when it comes in your unit?
Well, as in matter of Kush effect or somebody
the Kush effect.
So like I said, when they comes, most of the time we try to take the history, history taking is very essential to know exactly what happened and how it happens, and what are the presentation. We could see that one. So like I said, we focus our management based on what they are presenting to us. So one of the things that we will do is we quickly take their vital signs, that is their blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, and oxygen level. Now from there we move on collecting samples, send for full workup with differentials, and then the other thing that we might do also is to initiate oxygen therapy, and then we will also initiate IV infusion, specifically normal saline, and just to make sure that we are able to calm them. If they are very aggressive and restless, we try to give certain agents in order to calm them down and relax.
So how quickly a person can be addicted to Kush?
As immediately when you take it.
Immediately.
Because what happens is when you take it, it affects your brain.
Okay.
So the effect comes immediately. But yet again, as I said, people's reaction towards substances are different. Some will not experience an immediate effect, but most of the time they experience immediate effects. That is why when they come to the hospital, they will tell you that my tongue is falling back. Others will tell you that I'm swallowing my tongue. I've seen cases where somebody comes holding the tongue with a spanner. Eventually by the time they arrive at the hospital, half of the tongue is cut. Okay, so a lot can happen, which means even the way the tongue was cut, they didn't even realize that they are causing more damage. So even if we are able to revive you from the effect of the Kush, but still you have another problem, which your tongue is halfway cut.
So what are the signs of Kush dependence and addiction?
So basically, one of the signs, or some of the signs that can come, is that one, you will realize that these are people who will eventually, most of the time, engage in some criminal activities. Okay. Not in all cases, but most of the cases, they wouldn't stay much at home. Okay. You will realize that there will be people within the community also that will eventually pick everything that they can lay their hands on, because they want to obtain the substance. Okay. Some of the other things that can come in, or signs that can show that this individual is a dependent on Kush or user of Kush, is some of the presentations. That is, they will be speaking of things that are not relevant. Okay. They will be saying things that are not mature enough to digest, and they will also engage in activities that are not normal. So they might also have psychotic presentations. They will be sitting at one place, talking to themselves, laughing at themselves. They will be sitting at one place. They wouldn't take themselves properly. They will not take care of themselves. The hygienic status will not be proper in some cases. So these are some of the things that will suggest that these are people who use Kush. They might be sitting at one place, is cool, calm, quiet, look depressed. So all these things are some of the things that might present with people that are using. So
let's look at in this area, because for our youth, because we have different sets of people. Maybe what you think and what I'm been thinking is two different things. Absolutely. Let's look at what do you think about society, especially about these drugs.
So a lot now. Like I said, the users of this particular substance in relation to society, when you look at the society, number one, they see these people as, not in all cases, but they will see these people as worthless individuals. Okay. They will see these people as aimless people. Okay. They will see these people as criminals. They will see these people as individuals without a scope of life, and people who don't have a good lens to look at the future, at a greater perspective. So now, if that is factored down to them, they also feel that self-worthlessness. Okay, and the societal concept on them affects their way of life. So the society should do better in terms of how we relate with substance abuse, or people who are engaged in substance abuse.
So are there any particular social economic factors that you think this will contribute to the rise of this Kush?
Absolutely, a lot. Because like I said, number one, we'll have to look at two factors. One, that is the societal effect of it, and the individual that is using it. That is to say, when you look at the economic burden, one, most of the family members have to use resources in order to treat the abusers.
Okay.
First of all, if you go to a private facility, you have to pay a lot of money, in a private facility. And then even if you go to a government facility, sometimes you have to pay a lot of money for the tests and all that. So that finance could be used in other activities as far as the family is concerned. Okay. And if you have certain damages, if you have certain medical problem, for example, eventually when it leads to kidney failure, you might end up having what is called end-stage renal failure, wherein your family has to come in on a weekly basis to take you to a machine to filter your blood. All those things are a lot of burden. But aside from that, when you look at the hospitals itself, it puts a lot of burden, because that means we need to look for so many resources. We need to look for so many materials in order to counter the effect of Kush in the public or in the society. So economically, it affects the society, it affects the individual itself. The individual that is using it, the economic burden on them is that most of the time the monies that they have, they wouldn't use it into proper activities. They will be going most of the time buying these schools or any other substance in order to get high, wherein they could have used that money to develop themselves. They could use that money to buy good food and eat healthy, buy good clothing, look hygienic. So it has both on the user and that of the society at large.
So what would you say about the peer group pressure?
So that is also a very important aspect, for the fact that most of the people who use Kush is as a result of peer pressure. Okay. Peer pressure has been a very serious issue as far as substance abuse is concerned. So I would say individuals should try their level best to engage with people whom have a very good concept of life, people who see the future, people who are engaged in daily activities in order to make proper ends meet, people who are going up and down to work, and have a decent life. So engaging with people who are always sitting at one place in the Jotai or the Banda, I'm not saying they are bad people, but it is the beginning of a factor that might affect your way of life, because that is where it all begins. We sit at the Bantabas or at the Jotai, we start talking about the society, we start talking about people not liking us, without looking at ourselves as a whole, in order to make a meaningful way of life. So peer pressure is very essential as far as substance abuse is concerned.
So what additional steps can be taken to reduce or educate the public about the dangers of Kush?
So I think, one, it has to be a general fight. So what I will say is that as a society, we have a common enemy. At this particular moment, we need to put aside our political difference. We need to put aside our religious difference. We need to put aside our status or individual difference and just focus on the fight and the campaign against substance abuse or Kush in general. Now, another thing that I think should be done is religious leaders should preach about Kush. They should preach about drug abuse in our congregations. They should preach about drug abuse in our mosques or masjid. The pastors, the priests should talk about it at the Sunday gatherings. They need to talk about it because it is a problem. And as far as it is a problem in the society which is affecting the young people, I think people that we look up to, which are the religious leaders, need to come forward and talk to people and sensitize the community. We all need to put our hands on deck. Now, aside from that, also individuals that are within our society that are prominent people, footballers, musicians, and even individuals that are very prominent need to come and voice out their words against the abuse of this substance, in particular Kush. I think as a society, that's where we're lacking. I think people need to come forward and then make it an enemy together and fight and sensitize, and we do not relent. One thing I understand is when Kush is having the effect on the youth and people start dying, now everybody start talking about it for a particular period and that's it, we kept quiet. So it has to be a particular campaign that needs to go on all along. We need to talk about it all the time. In that way, we will be able to fight against this.
So how can the healthcare like Afrimed International Hospital contribute to raising public awareness about the dangers of Kush?
So I would say Afrimed as an institution has been doing a lot when it comes to the awareness of people in terms of substance abuse, specifically Kush. One thing we do is when they come in, for a start, we give them baseline treatment, we stabilize them, and we engage the family and the escort and the patient themselves. We speak to them, we educate them, we tell them how dangerous these substances are. We try to discourage them about the usage of this substance. And the hospital's administration or management is always ready to support the healthcare sector in the Gambia. They have made numerous donations and contributions in terms of healthcare. So they are always in the forefront in the fight against substance abuse, specifically Kush. So me being the head of that particular department, and the doctors, the excellent doctors that I work with, we always talk to these people when they come. We tell them how dangerous these substances are. We try to discourage them. So as an institution, we are doing a lot in order to sensitize the community. We also have a page, where people can follow and see some of the developments that are occurring as far as Afrimed is concerned.
So finally, before you go, as a young person and a medical person, what will be your message to the public, especially about the dangers of Kush?
So first of all, I will let the young generation understand that the usage of Kush or substance abuse is not the solution to any stress episode that you might be receiving or you might be having. They also need to understand that there is always a second chance. They need to understand that the society don't hate them.
Okay.
They need to understand that they are very good people. They need to understand that they are part of the society.
Okay.
There is a way out for them. They just need to look at themselves first, accept the realities, and then do away with their ego or the feelings of this substance abuse. So let them try their level best and have a greater scope of life. Understand that there is more to life than substance abuse. Understand that they have an individual responsibility to themselves to become a better person. They need to understand that they are the futures of tomorrow. They need to understand that they need to contribute to the development of this country, and the youths in general are the cream of the country. So their individual responsibility, self-responsibleness is highly needed for us to be at a higher level. So on that note, I will encourage the youths to abstain or refrain from the usage of these substances. Let them advise each other. When we sit at our banter bars, let's advise each other about the dangers of this. Let them understand that this message is coming from somebody who deal with this patient directly, who see them on a daily basis. So my love for them is why I am here to educate them, to enlighten them, to tell them that this substance is deadly and it is making us lose a lot of young people. And it broke my heart to understand that the future of this country is at risk as a result of substance abuse. But we could do better by coming together and fight a common enemy.
Thank you. As we conclude, I would like to thank you again once, Ms. Manneh, for taking your time to speak on this expertise and dedication to this issue are truly commendable. To our audience, thank you for joining us for this important discussion. For you, or if you know someone, please advise them to stop taking Kush. I am your own Michael Afrimeds. Thank you.